So now we'll jump into our reviews for the week, starting off with Society of the Snow. For this one, there's like no real spoilers because it's based on a true story. So I'll just put it up now because we'll talk freely about like the true story that happened. But it's not like if you know like the story, it's been adapted several times. So the movie Alive with Ethan Hawke, top letterbox reviews funny. It's like Ethan Hawke or Latino King because it's about Uruguayan rugby team. And it's like this is a more truthful adaptation, whereas like the Alive version, just like they just make a bunch of Americans be the people who like end up getting
one Uruguayan in that movie.
yeah.
Not
And
one.
then the show Yellowjackets was also inspired by this story. There's been countless documentaries. It's been very well documented in film and TV shows. So it's a story people are known. I mentioned in my review too. There's the ultimate like dad movie where if I watched this with my dad, he would just Wikipedia the whole thing like 10 minutes in and tell me everything that's about to happen. I'm like, well, what's the point of watching this movie now? You just told me exactly how many survivors is going to be and how long it took. So it's just a classic like movie where like I feel like my dad would just look up all the answers before it even happens. But Society of the Snow, it's directed by J.A. Boyana. It's definitely gonna be a player come Oscar season. There's gonna be for sure probably international film nominee, but there's a couple other I think it might sneak into.
Great director.
Have you seen any of those movies?
It got shut out of the BAFTAs actually. So
he did. He did George. He did a Monsters Call. Monsters Call.
Monsters Call.
We both enjoyed. He also did The Orphanage, which George, you would fucking watch. Like definitely, really, really good director. I like him a lot. So I need to watch it definitely.
So the synopsis: on October 13th, 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, chartered to take a rugby team to Chile, crashes into a glacier in the heart of the Andes Mountains, and then the plane crashes, and it's a survival story of them trying to survive, get help, and get rescued. So yeah, let's jump into talking about Society of the Snow. Give your kind of overall thoughts in your review. So Cam, I'll kick it off with you.
Oh man, good movie. Definitely like very one of those watches where you're like, yeah, I would die so quickly. Because yeah, I would give up instantly. I'm so sorry to whoever wants me to come home after a plane crash. I'm fucking giving up. But definitely a really good watch. All the performances through and through were fantastic. I thought the score was really great. The biggest thing for me is I feel like this almost made it not easy to get out of this situation, but I feel like it wasn't as it didn't make it seem as hard as it was because it is a long time they're in the snow, so you do have to jump days, which I understand. It just I don't know. I feel like we didn't get like and obviously like people are dying left and right, so maybe that's a crazy take. And this might not be the what you guys pulled away from the movie. Maybe it looked super intense for you. I just feel like when I was watching it, didn't feel as crazy as it probably was up there. Like they have conversations about eating people, which is just insane. Yeah, that's just insane to eat people. But I understand you surviving. You have to do what you have to do. I just feel like when they were like, say, oh, we're going to walk up this mountain, you get one time where they walk up and it's kind of hard, but it's like, I feel like for the most part, they skip over the walking moments, which understandable. Cause again, it's a 2.5 hour movie already. You can't really put everything in it. It just feels like there wasn't that much tension around a lot of things other than like the obvious, hey, we're surviving a plane crash. Like there wasn't a ton of tension around walking to the what was it? The back of the plane. They talk about it like, oh, we almost died overnight, but you don't see it. There wasn't a ton of tension, like building things around the plane. It felt like obviously people are dying, but they just did it. And then they were like, oh, this person died. Like you didn't see it. I don't know. That's kind of my big takeaway. So I gave it like 74 out of 100. I do think it's really good. But that's kind of my biggest gripe is it made it seem a little bit easier than I feel like it would have been. But you guys can give your thoughts.
George?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Cam, like where he's saying like they kind of glossed over a lot of the bigger moments, but I do think that they spent a lot of time on like some massive moments that just made it like a really like haunting journey. And also we just don't have that many like good survival movies. So I feel like when I see a good one, I'll like inflate it to being great just because I'm comparing it to crap to begin with.
That's fair.
But no, I thought it was great. It was it ran a bit long. There were moments where you know, they were just kind of like Cam said, like they took time to tell us about some instances, but they didn't show it to us, and I think that just made for a lot of drag. But I thought the movie was great. I thought it was a really just devastating journey. I think the moments like when the snow pile happens, the plane crash scene, the rescue scene. I think there are moments that really work. Moments of just heartbreak, moments of just heartfelt conversations between characters, some devastating conversations, some devastating voiceovers, especially when like a character dies, especially when that guy's sister died. That was just brutal. But in terms of just like survival storytelling, I think this is like one of the best that we've had in a really long time, which again isn't saying much, but still a really good film. Um, loved the like there was a very clear commitment to the bit of like just how much these guys got like tossed. And like I said, like there are some scenes where they just like that snow pile scene just went on forever, and like I respect the shit out of the movie for it because that just made it just horrendous. Like they got snow piled on, a couple of them got out, snow pile again, and I'm like, damn, they're really committing to this bit of like these guys got absolutely demolished on this fucking glacier or wherever they were in the mountains.
That's
I
right.
wish
They did do that one well.
yeah, they did a lot of those well, but I again I do agree with you where like they could have done it better with a lot of other situations. I wish we had a little bit more, and I know we're already running up on a 2.5 hour movie, but I wish that like ending like that like 60-mile trek that they made to the village, I wish that was just like not glossed over because that's like the most heroic part of the movie, or not like yeah, heroic's the right word. That's like the biggest part of the movie. And they just kind of that felt like they just like really quickly glossed over, which I get. It's like a survival movie and they want to show you like how they survived around the plane and, you know, turning to cannibalism and all that stuff. But I wish we had just a little bit more time on that trek and just to see exactly what they went through, because that's no walk in the park. I went with a 4. Sits like very, I have to check. I'm pretty sure it's like slightly inside my top 20 of the year for 2023. Don't think it's going to be nominated for any Oscars really, just because it's like kind of been shut out of like every other award show, especially the BAFTAs just released their nominations and it was shut out like crazy. So we'll see come Oscar time. I know it's might get a nomination for international film, but like a lot of people are like pulling for some tech categories, and
I think maybe makeup and hairstyling has a chance.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. I think it's way too late. Even if it's deserving of it, it's just such a late contender.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. But yeah, I went with a 4 out of 5. Survival storytelling, I think it's fantastic. But yeah, as a movie, I have my gripes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also give it a 4. I think because Seth, you didn't get a chance to see this one yet, right? Okay, yeah, just making sure I'm not intentionally skipping over you. Yeah, I give it a 4 as well. For survival story, I agree with both of what you said in terms of I never really felt like the stakes were that high, which is crazy because of how like riskful it was and how much like they had to go through, and they obviously had to resort to cannibalism.
I feel like it made it seem like I could survive a plane crash, and I couldn't.
Yeah,
like the things
no,
these
I would
people were
fold so
doing
quick.
were insane. So it made me feel like at the end, it made me feel like, oh, that wasn't like awful, you know. And like I should not have come away from the movie feeling like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like the makeup was good to show like some frostbite, but I never really gauged like how cold it was either, because so many times like
they have their shirts off.
Yeah, my thought was like, if I got in this crash, I feel like I would go to all the dead people and take off all their clothes and just like put on 70 shirts and like be just like as layered as possible. I didn't understand
how the temperature at all.
So yeah, I couldn't really ever get a feel for like how cold it really was up there, and their journeys. Like I feel like in terms of a survival movie, it's like the best made I've seen in terms of the direction, the editing, cinematography, all the technical aspects of it. I think are really, really well done. But the narrative perspective, I really enjoyed how it was very like faith-based in terms of just keeping the faith, understanding what the meaning of all this is. But I don't know if I ever really got the sense of just like how insane this was to survive, because I would fold so quick, especially when they got the radio message, when they heard like that the Air Force has called off rescue operations for the next couple months because they tried a couple times, couldn't find anybody because, it's a white plane and white snow and they don't have, fires or a big sign for people to see.
That scene where they like walk up the mountain and they look back and they're like damn, I can't see shit.
Yeah, I would have folded them when I heard that they called off rescue operations. Unless like what they should do is honestly over the radio just do stuff to keep the faith. Like be like a new Damien Chazelle movie is releasing in 90 days. They'd be like, oh, okay, I will stay alive for this, and then that'll get me through it. Just give me something like that to hold out hope for. But it's kind of crazy. Like it is such a miracle because it was 72 days and like how. Like so many people survived, and it's just like how the hell did like that many people end up surviving? And the initial plane crash too, like not even that many people died in the initial crash, which I mean maybe because they're at such high altitude they probably weren't going the fastest and they like didn't crash from a super high depth because they kind of just fell into the snow. But it's kind of crazy just how mitigated the carnage ended up being from such a insane situation like that. The plane crash scene was so carnal and graphic. That was it was like Ferrari-esque in terms of how gruesome it was.
Seeing the people's like face hit the front, that was
like the leg, so many legs
the
snapping in
legs
half.
snapping.
Yeah.
That was another like Ferrari type scene where I was like, oh my god. And I'm sure people who saw it in the theater who got the chance to. This got like an insanely limited release. We're probably just floored from that because it was like a long crash scene too. It was probably like I mean long. It was like 2 minutes probably, which like for a plane crash is a pretty long scene because a crash happens pretty instantaneously, but. Yeah, that was crazy scene. But yeah, I don't know if I ever grasped the complete gravity of the situation they were in. And I agree. The final trek is what kind of obviously makes them survive. Is a couple guys decide we're going to hike all the way freaking down this mountain with no gear until we find some remote village of people that can help get us help, which is an insane journey to take. And I feel like that was pretty glossed over. I don't know. I feel like technical aspects, this was really well made. Narrative wise, I don't know how effective it was for me, but I still give it a 4-star because there's definitely way more I liked about it than dislikes. But just a crazy story. Rugby team going to play a match. Basically everyone on the flight was either on the team or like their friends or family. So just very brutal because it's not like a random plane crash where if you just start eating people, it's like, this is just some Joe Blow accountant who I've never met in my life. It's probably, your teammate's dad or something like that. And it's just brutal, but every single person that survived had to eat someone at some point. So, I mean, it literally was essential for their survival. Just brutal. I don't think I could ever do that in that situation. I would fold so fast.
Could never.
Yeah. If I somehow survived the initial crash, I'm not lasting long out there. And then it's like, I don't know. I'm not trying to live that badly. Like, there's just so low hope. And especially back then in the 70s, like the technology was just so not even close to where it is today. I would just feel so helpless. But I guess anything else we want to say? I don't know if there's a ton to touch on here. It's one of those things like if you like survival movies, you're probably gonna love this, but I know survival movies isn't everyone's cup of tea, so you're probably gonna kind of find it redundant and a little overly long. Anyone wants to talk about for Society of the Snow?
Michael Giacchino's score.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we forgot to talk about
design.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna keep coming back to that one fucking scene of the snow pile.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I felt like I was under the snow with them listening to that sound design.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Michael Giacchino score, like incredible score, just similar to Hans Zimmer and The Creator, where it's just such a like random side quest that we had no clue they were tackling, and then just comes out and you're like, damn, that's phenomenal. A great score. I feel like, which is fine for the actor. Like I know there's one scene where it shows the guy with the belt loop like pulling it and like his belt's gotten way tighter, but I feel like they never really pushed the actors, which I'm not saying they should have, but to like really emaciate themselves, because I feel like the makeup and hairstyling was good, but I feel like we never really saw the actors like wither away throughout. So, you're never really seeing these guys become shells of themselves, which again, probably for the best in the long run. But I feel like that kind of just like is another, like if Christian Bale was in this, you'd be like, okay, this looks very hard to survive because Christian Bale looks like he has one breath left before he's going to die because he's shrunk so much. And then just the muck of all them getting washed off and their piss being black. It's just a brutal situation. I just can't even imagine. I can't even fathom. And a lot of them are still alive today. I mean, obviously some have passed just in terms of this was in the 70s and they were all adults at that point. So it's been, 50 years, but crazy survival story. The fact that many people ended up surviving thanks to a couple of heroes making that trek and everyone banding together to survive this thing. Did anyone get Adam Driver vibes from the lead actor? Like, I feel like
of them, yes.
Yeah, I was so much like, I don't know if it was like the snow too, but I was just getting such like Adam Driver specifically in Star Wars vibes. Like,
yeah,
that I was like, I don't know, just Adam Driver vibes from the main guy, but
big time.
Yeah, Society of the Snow, great film. We all enjoyed it. 3.5 from Cam, 4 from me and George, and
74 out of 100.
Yeah, 74 out of 100 from Cam. And if you like survival movies, I think this is one you should definitely turn to.